Your 20s are about figuring it out. Your 30s, that's when not figuring it out starts costing you. So, what actually matters in your 30s? Not the fake pressure, not social media goals, but real lasting stuff. Let's not sugarcoat it. Your 20s are weird. You're broke, confused, and trying to figure out if you're supposed to be building a startup or just learning how to pay rent on time. But your 30s, that's when the real choices show up. Because your 30s aren't just another decade, they're the checkpoint. Not the end of the game, but the part where what you've done so far starts compounding for better or worse. The way you spend time, energy, money, attention, all of it starts to stick. And if you're not careful, it sticks in the wrong direction. So, in this video, we're cutting through the noise. Not the buy a house by 30 crowd, not the retire at 33 hustle bros. Just real talk about what actually matters in your 30s. What moves the needle? What quietly destroys your life when you ignore it? And what you can still do no matter how behind you feel. Let's start with the one thing most people don't think about until it's almost too late. Your health. Your health becomes a deadline, not a vibe. When you're 22, you can eat pizza at 1 a.m., sleep 4 hours, and still function. At 32, one wrong sandwich can take you out for a whole weekend. And no, this isn't some start-lifting motivational speech. This is about the fact that your body is now aging for real, and every choice is either helping or hurting you long-term. Sleep stops being a luxury. It becomes your brain's entire operating system. And workouts? They're not about looking good for the beach. They're about not feeling like garbage when you sit too long. You don't need six-pack abs. You need energy. You need stability. You need to not burn out by Wednesday. Because here's the deal. If you don't get serious about your health in your 30s, you're basically handing your 40s to future health problems. Quietly, gradually, permanently. You don't have to train like an Olympian, but you do have to stop treating your body like it's still in your 20s because it's not. And this decade, that's when it tells you. Once that's in check, the next thing that matters, the people around you. Relationships, they either grow with you or outgrow you. Your 30s are when the group chats start getting quieter. Not because people don't care, but because real life shows up with bills, babies, breakups, and burnout. And suddenly, the people you used to see every weekend, you're lucky to see them twice a year. This is the decade where your relationships start to filter not by drama, but by distance, direction, and depth. Some friendships will fade, not because anyone did anything wrong, but because you're headed in different directions. Different priorities, different energy. And that's okay. But the ones that do stay, those are the people you invest in on purpose. Your relationships in your 30s are less about quantity and way more about quality and consistency. You don't need 10 friends at brunch. You need 2 friends who know when something's wrong just by how you text back, "Yeah, I'm good." So take stock. Who actually adds to your life? Who makes you feel safe, real, and challenged in a good way? And who are you holding on to just because they knew you when you were 22? And as those connections shift, you really start to feel that time moves differently now. Time doesn't speed up, you just feel it differently. One of the weirdest shifts in your 30s, time starts to feel like it's slipping through your fingers. Not because the days are literally shorter, but because your attention is constantly divided. Work, errands, obligations, texts you haven't replied to. You blink and somehow it's October. In your 20s, time feels like it'll stretch forever. You can waste a week and it's no big deal, but in your 30s, a wasted week hurts because you start measuring time not just in hours, but in missed chances. You realize weekends aren't guaranteed. You realize you've known some people for a decade and still haven't told them how much they mean to you. And that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to remind you. You have to budget time the way people budget money. Because without a plan, time just leaks. And in your 30s, that shift matters more than ever. You don't need to fill your calendar. You need to protect the hours that shape you. Because those hours are the ones your future self will thank you for. Which brings us to another big one, how you handle your money. It's not how much money you make. It's what you do with it. In your 20s, money is mostly vibes. You get paid, you spend, you survive. You joke about being broke like it's a personality trait. But your 30s, that's when money starts to feel real. Because suddenly it's not just rent and takeout, it's medical bills, car repairs, aging parents, emergencies that don't care if it's payday or not. And it's not just what you earn, it's how much leaks out when you're not paying attention. You don't need to become a financial wizard, but you do need to stop avoiding it. Because in your 30s, money isn't just currency, it's freedom, options, safety, control. You don't have to buy a house, you don't have to invest in crypto, but you do need a system. Something simple. Know what's coming in, know what's going out. Build a buffer, even if it's small. Don't let lifestyle creep eat your peace of mind. And most of all, stop measuring your worth by your income. Seriously, there are people making six figures who can't sleep at night because they're drowning in debt. And there are people making half of those who feel secure because they built structure. Your 30s are where your money habits either set you free or quietly trap you. Start where you are. Make it boring. Make it automatic. And make sure that 10 years from now, you're not still living paycheck to paycheck, just with nicer stuff. Your 30s aren't the deadline. They're the dashboard. You're not too old. You're not too late. This decade isn't about getting everything right. It's about starting to care about the right things. Not the loud stuff, not the stuff that looks good online. The real stuff. So, you're not too late. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're just ready. Smash that like button if this made you think. Comment on the one thing you know you need to start taking seriously. And subscribe because we've got more real-life clarity, no-nonsense breakdowns, and modern wisdom dropping every week. This is your decade. Own it.